Good morning, Mark here on the Culinary Compass, following up on our first edition related to smoking food. It doesn't have to be expensive to still smoke well. I'm sure there's some of you out there that don't agree with me. Well, poppycock to that. Now, there's also the issue of smoking stuff that you couldn't imagine smoking. Like, how about this? Tofurkey. Yeah, that's right. Check this baby out. Tofurkey. This is a tofu Italian sausage that's supposed to taste like turkey, I guess. Look in your refrigerator and ask yourself whether or not there's anything else you can smoke. I mean, what about a smoked pickle? Okay, so the last thing I'd like to mention is that I'm calling for a boycott of the television show, The Next Food Network Star. The reason I'm calling for a boycott is that I applied to be on this show. And I watched last night the first episode, and I have to say that I easily could be in the top 3 or 4 in that show, and therefore could compete for the championship. Boycott the Next Food Network Star. Okay, now let's take a look at smokers. You've got a whole range of choices. You've got smokers that are really dedicated just as smokers, and these can run to the thousands of dollars. And as well, they come down in price to the, $200-300 versions, and then even the $50 versions, somewhat almost that you can make yourself, but they're actually sold and manufactured by others. Then you've got your standard grill that can function as a smoker. Now, whether it is a coal-fired grill that is using no gas at all, or it's using gas, there are all kinds of contraptions you can either buy to store the wood and actually heat it up, or you can just go ahead, put wood into a little pan, perforate the pan, cover it up with tin foil, just create some slats. Don't forget, of course, you got to make your wood wet, and then pop it on your grill and you've got a smoker. So there's really a whole bunch of ways to do this. In addition, there are items that are sold that make it possible for you to do stovetop smoking. So I love the homemade versions. Those are great. 2 clay pots put together with an electric coil on the bottom. Here, 2 cardboard boxes that are connected by some kind of contraption. Here you even have an old stove that's been converted into a smoker. I have opted for the $50 to $100 version. I've been a fan of the company Brickman. They make good basic smokers. This is the one that I'm using now. It's the gourmet version, and that's because it has a door. So you can actually put wood inside. I think that that's so cool, and I have a lot of fun opening the door. That's actually helpful because then you don't open the lid and let all the smoke out. However, it's a little harder and you may singe your hand, so you got to be a little careful as you get in the wood in there. And this one is as well as an electric smoker. And what that means is there are coils on the bottom that heat up, and then there's a pan you put in there with your wood, which you've pre-soaked, of course. I'm not really big on lighting coal briquettes and waiting too long for them. However, a lot of people swear by them and think that you're not going to get that really authentic smoky flavor if you don't use those. Frankly, I've never done a comparison side to side. I probably should, but for me, it's good enough. Now, I do want to note that it's important for you to take care of your smoker, which I don't do. I've gone through 3 of these in 2 years. Why? Because they rust. So, I do recommend, and I do learn, and I've graduated, I do recommend the smoking cover. Now, they probably make a $20 one that's branded with Brickman. This is the $6 version. I'll let you know next year whether or not this breaks down as quickly as the smoker does. Other thing you're going to need is wood. Now, there are a lot of different woods. You really need to care for your wood. Well, I don't know. I don't actually care for my wood. I kind of leave it inside my smoker in a bag, and it actually, if it rains and you leave your top off, it's really kind of great because all of your wood ends up a little bit pre-soaked. So you don't have to wait an hour or 2 to pre-soak your wood. As you can see, I use this kind of sized wood. You can go ahead and get chunks of wood yourself from a farm, or you can purchase different kinds of wood, hickory, apple, mesquite. They come in very small little chips. They can also come in much larger chunks. In some cases, you're not going to want to soak the wood, especially if you use very large hunks and it's a long smoking period of more than 4 or 5 hours. But in many cases, you are going to want to pre-soak the wood. Now, as far as making this whole thing work, you need to get your heating element heat it up. Whether it's an electric coil system as I use, or whether you're using a charcoal system, get that heated up and then get that wood in there. Once you start to generate that smoke, that's when you want to go ahead and put the food on the grill. And then the smoking process begins. You'll need to keep an eye on things to see if you need more wood. Occasionally you'll end up just with ash, and you'll need to throw a little bit more wood in. Again, the critical thing here is matching the right wood and the right timing as far as how long you're going to smoke that particular item. I've put some good links down below this video to help you out with just that. Now, as far as the smoking process goes, let's keep this really simple. I talked to you about the brine. You just dry the brine off the fish. That's it. Take it out of the brine. Use paper towels or anything you want. Dry that brine off. Go ahead and lay it on the smoker at the right time. You don't even need to flip it. You might want to at some point. Just check it out. Use your judgment. Before I put it on, I often will do a dry rub or some kind of herb or spice I'll add to just give it a little bit extra flavor. Now, I will often pair that kind of a spice rub with the flavor profile that I used in the brine, of course. And there are all kinds of wonderful spices that you can use. And here's where I really encourage you to do a lot of experimentation. And voila, take a look. This is the tuna that I just recently smoked. It is absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? The color is beautiful. You've got some nice grill marks. The spices are clearly there. I've glazed this one with the brine that I cooked down on the side while this was smoking. It only took about an hour and a half to get the tuna to this point. I don't know really what else there is to cover here other than try. If you've tasted smoked foods and you really say, I like that, there is no excuse for you not to, at least on your stove, put together a little contraption like I showed you earlier, buy a small piece of fish, throw that baby on, and just go ahead and make the mistake of overdoing it. But in that case, you'll end up with more of a jerky product, or underdoing it, and there you'll end up with a subtle, fine, refined flavor. Whatever it is, you really can't go that wrong. Well, that's about it today on the Culinary Compass. I suggest you go out and give it a try. Oh, and by the way, the next 2 sets of episodes cover issues of gardening and lettuce. And the first episode is going to cover how can you get your kids to hate vegetables by growing them fresh in your garden. Ciao for now.